Hello, friends. It has been far too long that I have chit chat and had a conversation with you guys. We're just gonna jump straight into it. I've been getting in my own way. So I have been saying, if you guys remember, I think in June I made a post saying, "Oh, in July I'm gonna release a new episode. Oh, in February I'm gonna release a new episode." Blah 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 blah. It ain't happened. Now, to my defense, in February and March, I was sick. In February, I lost my voice, so I could not record. And it was just so much going on at once. But again, me getting in my own way because I still found time to do other things. Um, I just felt like I always had to sit down and 100% focus on recording a podcast. What you do, like I have to have that peace and quiet to hear myself think to create a good episode. And also, I live in a house now with three dogs. It'd be madness. Not gonna hold y'all. Um, but nonetheless, I was getting in my own way, and going into 30 in 4 months, I need to stop doing that in all aspects of my life. Honestly, like things that I want to do and I want to accomplish, it ain't just gonna come to me. Like that's things in life. Yes, they happen. Like there's a plan. There's like, God has already written out what He feels will happen for you. But it's like, when are you going to be the one to make things happen? Because even if it's laid out for you to become the president of the United States. You don't just wake up one morning and that happens. You have to, get in certain offices, meet certain people, get donations. You have to set a platform, get people to like you, get people to vote for you to get to where you have to be. Now, granted, you've already manifested your final destination is I will be president one day, but there's so much lead work before it. And it's like, even if you're praying hard, you're fasting, whatever you're doing to get to that point, or even working hard or whatever, you still have to put the work behind it because things don't just happen. And they definitely don't happen overnight. Um, I know for me, I don't know if it's fear because I will say my first season of my podcast was great. I said a lot of things that needed to be said. It was therapy for myself. I opened up to people in a different way. I had a lot of people listening. Do I want my podcast to thrive and be better? Yes, of course. But I also can't rush that process. Like, you don't overnight success. Granted, in the social media world, it is a little bit overnight success now, but that overnight success, that don't last long. I don't want that success. I don't want success that doesn't leave a mark. I want to do things in this world where I leave a mark where people will say when they see me, you're that person that did this in the right way, in a good light. Um, and I just have to work for it. I have to stop standing in the way of my possibilities, of my happiness, of my peace, of my growth. And I will say it's not on purpose. I will literally, there's a list of reasons as to why I have not recorded my podcast. Um, there's also a list of reasons of why I should have. And I do thank you and shout out to my listeners and my support system because people have been like, okay, so where is it? Why haven't you recorded it? And it's like when y'all owe my head about it, I go do it. I might wait a little bit, but it still gets done. So thank you guys for pushing me and for everybody who's believed in me, who listened to my episodes and things like that. This episode is not really a topic. I looked at a few topics that I had wrote down over the course of the year that I wanted to speak on, like when I first came back. Um, but I just want to talk. And that's usually what I do. So we don't have to be on topic. There's things that I will touch on. But really that getting out of your own way is basically, I guess that's the topic. Um, and I will say, not only get out of your own way, but do things when it feels right in your soul. And I'm a very big believer in timing is everything. I don't think that you should rush certain things because some things need time. That's just like baking a cake, learning how to ride a bike. You don't just hop on a bike and know what you're doing as soon as you get on it. You don't let a cake bake for 10 seconds and think, okay, now I can eat it, it's done. You really have to take your time with a lot of things in life and be okay with that. Going into 30, I know a lot of people around me, we are learning to adjust with, okay, it just ain't my time to have this right now. So I'm going to enjoy what I have at this moment. Growing up, everybody pressured you with 30s, 40s, 20s. Like when we were growing up, your life was supposed to be by 26, you were supposed to be married with kids in your career, graduated college, living your best life, building houses, putting cars together. You're supposed to do it all by 26. And then when you sit and you think about it, like, damn, that is kind of young. And then you're like, damn, now I'm gonna become 30 and I ain't built a house yet. What am I doing wrong with my life? And then you start questioning yourself and you start thinking, well, what did I fall flat? Or maybe if I didn't go out as much that one time, I would have been here. Or maybe if I would have, lost so many hours of sleep just to make sure I'm like, no, no, mm-mm. You take your time. We were blessed with the opportunity to be on this earth and we're supposed to enjoy it. Not getting sleep to achieve something. Granted, sometimes, you got to lose a little sleep to get to where you want to be, but to just like completely take away from like your well-being of like getting the amount of hours you need to sleep, just to go work a job for someone else, I ain't gonna do it. um, it's just, it was so much pressure on us, and we took that pressure, and I know I can speak for my generation of people that are around me. We take pressure hard. It was like, y'all telling me I'm not doing this and this, okay, cool, I have to do this. Until we really sit back and say, damn, some of the same people that was telling me I had to do X, Y, and Z, they ain't got their life together. And we on different ages. I'm looking at people that's 40, 50, 60, 70 that ain't did nothing that they said they were going to accomplish in life, but it was so much pressure on me, and I'm under 30 and I'm still trying to figure it out. And I honestly have time to mess it up. And it's okay to mess up. It's okay to take your time to fix things. Like my therapist told me, she was like, failing isn't a real thing. That's like man-made at this point. You don't fail. You tried it. You attempted to do something. It did not work out. That's it. You did it. And then if you feel as though you didn't do good at it, you have the opportunity to do it again and do it again and do it again. Just like you get so many retests in school, or you get another opportunity to apply for a job within, the next 6 months to a year after you don't get the first interview wasn't successful. You have time to try again, to do it again. You're not failing. You That's a mindset. You believe, once I don't make it, once this doesn't happen, I have nothing left. This is the end of the world. This is the only job I can get. This is the only opportunity I had. That's not true. That is just not true. You have to trust timing, because a lot of things happen because you had more time to prepare for it. Just think about times where you wanted to do something and you're like, I'm really good at it. I want to try it. I'm just going to rush it and get it over with. And when you tried it, it just wasn't good enough. And you're like, this one didn't work out. But then you said, okay, wait, let me try it again. Let me do one more. And I'll give you a personal example. I feel like I've talked about this before. So when I graduated high school, um, my I don't know, like college was a thing. I always said I wanted to go to college. That was because of T and Tamara. They went to Michigan, University of Michigan, and I was like, I'm going to University of Michigan. I don't even think I applied to University of Michigan, but I just knew T and Tamara went there. I was going there. Like great, gratefully, growing up, we had images of Black teens in college. So if anything, that made me want to go to school. Different World is one of my favorite TV shows, and that's based on a Black college campus. Um, so I graduated and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to this school. I'm going to this school. I wanted to go to Columbia. I got accepted into Columbia. Um, and there were a lot of schools I had applied for that I didn't like. I think Bradley I had applied for, but my GPA wasn't enough to get me in, and that's because my freshman year I really didn't. You come in, you're just like, whatever, and it was an adjustment. So it is what it is. I got accepted to Columbia, did not attend Columbia. Um, I was upset, I was hurt, I was sad I couldn't go. Um, and then a friend at that time, we all decided, like, we were trying to figure out things in life. It was like, oh, okay, let's go to Purdue Calumet. That was close to home. All right, cool, bet. Went there. Um, I went to school for communications originally. My goal was to become a writer for newspapers. So if you guys know, I love to write. Hence the poetry, the podcast, it all comes together. Um, when I did communications, one of the teachers was like, why do newspaper? And honestly, I was on newspaper my senior year in high school, so I really liked the format and the writing stories and things like that. And I've also loved to write short stories, and my favorite classes were English and reading growing up. Like that was big for me. So he was like, why do you want to do newspaper? And I was like, oh, I just love to write. I think I would be great to be like a columnist. And he said to me, newspapers won't be around forever. Everything will go digital. And I was like, dang, that's true. And at that moment, this man had me questioning my life. Like, I seriously, for some reason, didn't realize you can still have a newspaper online. You don't have to physically have a paper in your hand and get the Sunday paper. No, you can do it online. It never dawned on me until years later. And I was like, oh, wait, I still could have did that. I still could do it if I want to. Um, so I was communications, journalism. I was just like, this is what I want to do. Went to school for a semester at Purdue. Um, didn't I didn't go back the next semester, financial aid issues or whatever. Went to a community college, retook all of the classes that I took at Purdue Calumet because I was like, if I go to school later on, I'm gonna do that. I want to make sure everything is taken care of. So I retook every class that I had because my transcripts, whatever. Um, Life happened. In the midst of my college career, I decided to work full time. I did 2 years working at Chase in a call center. It was an experience. I needed that, Um, before I went to before I worked at Chase, I worked at, I don't know if you guys remember if you're from Chicago or Tinley Park area, the outside theater place. I worked there. And I always was like, oh, I want to work at Foot Locker. I want to get discounts. Da 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 da. Went to work at Foot Locker, at the one in Country Club Hills, and it was in the process of moving to a different location, like moving to a new house, and we were moving further out towards Schaumburg, Stringwood area. A week or so, almost 2 weeks after I started working at Foot Locker, we moved. So I'm working at Foot Locker. Honestly, my first day, they had just got robbed. If you know the one in Country Club Hills, you know. So they had got robbed at that one. I'm like, dang, that's crazy. It was boring. I stood around. They didn't have a lot of customers. Um, and it was really commission based. So it was just like, eh. I was still working at the concert place some days. And I'm like, boo, I don't even think I like this. But I get shoe discounts. I'm going to just thug it out. Timing is everything. Weeks later, when we moved and got our house, this was in November of 20, I honestly don't know. Not gonna lie to y'all. I want to say it's 2015. Moved into our house, and I said I want to transfer. So when I move out there, I could work. And Woodfield Mall, one of the biggest malls in the state, I'm like, they got a Foot Locker. They got a World Foot Locker. I want to go, or it was House of Hoops Foot Locker. I'm like, I want to work there. The lady at the Foot Locker that worked at a Country Club Hill, she's like, okay, well, I'll call them, see if they can do a transfer, blah, blah, blah. My first day at Foot Locker, for some reason, I wore Timberlands to work. That was dumb. Never did it again. um, First day at work, it was great. The manager, his name's Tony. Shout out to Tony. If you know, you know. He was like, you're great. We're going to get you on the schedule. Going forward, you are now an employee of the Schaumburg Woodfield Mall Foot Locker. Bet. I love it. The people at Country Club Hills literally thought I still worked there. I don't know how they didn't communicate that, but whatever. I moved, was in a better position. I worked at Foot Locker. Um, Once I'm in a position that I actually do like, and we have built like a family in Foot Locker, I stick around. So I worked at Foot Locker House of Hoops, and they opened up a kids Foot Locker in Woodfield. And my manager said, I want you to work at Kids Foot Locker. I think you're great. You have the opportunity to be possibly a manager at some point. He had told me this early on. And I was like, okay, whatever. Went there, met people who worked for Nike. They were called Eakins. These are people, it's basically Nike spelled backwards. These were people who did like, they worked directly for Nike, but they went around and did floor resets and, you know, showing like how they want the stores to be set up. So Kids Foot Locker, I went into a brand new store. Like I was in there helping them put up the stuff. Like we were folding the shirts, putting the shoes on display, um, the fixtures in the walls and stuff. Like I was getting paid to do all of that. So that was my job. And I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. I remember talking to the lady. I want to say her name is Jenny. I can't remember 100%. She came in. They did the whole, this is our expectation for the store. This is how. So there was like a kids flight part in the back of it. So it was like all Nike, Jordan stuff. This is how the expectation is for this and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, cool. The lady, I said, how did you do this? I said, this is very fascinating. You talk about this and you work for Nike. How did you become, how did you get to this point? Oh, I went to school for fashion merchandising. I was like, what's that? Oh, well, this is the. I was like, I've never heard of that before. I didn't even know you can go to school for fashion. Like, honestly, at this point in my life, I had no idea people went to school to set up the stuff in stores. I just thought that was people who worked there that did it. No idea. She's like, yeah, and I used to work for Foot Locker, and then, I got da da da. I was like, okay, cool. So in the back of my mind now, I'm like, this is something interesting. A couple months after Kids Foot Locker opened, they opened up Foot Action Flight 23. One side is Foot Action, the other side was the Flight 23 Jordan store. Um, they wanted urban people. And every time I think about it, I'm like, that's crazy because I got that because I was black, but it's cool. They wanted people. Kids Foot Locker was it was a slower volume than working at regular Foot Locker. It also was like on the side of a mall that nobody really shopped at. So it was like slower days and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I will go to Foot Action again. Another store. I'm walking in the door. I'm setting up the stuff. I'm folding the shirts, putting the shoes up, putting up the fixtures. I'm sliding the pictures and stuff like this. I'm building this store with my new team because this became like a fresh new team besides like a couple people that came from Foot Locker with us. Um, so I'm doing that, and I'm like, okay, I like this. We get to the Flight 23 part of it. They have to have Jordan specialists come into the store to teach us about the shoes and how to learn this. I mean, everything about Jordan as a company, as a brand. And here comes Mike from Jordan. Black guy, young guy, close to my age. Shout out to Mike if you ever listen to this. Thank you. Um, him and I forgot, I honestly can't remember her name, but this is my girl too. They came in every week, every 2 weeks to help us do resets in the store. So they would come out and they would take down any wrinkled shirts. We would have to refold them, re-iron them. They would change out all of the pictures and designs and anything in the store that was old, they took out. And they were like, okay, well, this is how it has to look like this for sizing, tuck the tags in, do this, do that, bring this shoe out. This one doesn't work anymore. Changing the mannequins out. This doesn't do this anymore. Change that, flip this, da da da. And I'm like, okay, Mike, how did you get here? Because at this point, they worked for a company that worked for Nike. They were like and they came in and they just switched up. They didn't work directly for Nike. Now at this point, Mike does work directly for Nike. Um, I'm like, what did you do? How'd you get to where you are? And I want to say Mike said he also went to school for fashion merchandising, but he also worked at Foot Locker. And he met the right people, worked at different stores, kept going up, referrals, referrals. If you know, fashion industry is very big on referrals and knowing people. That's how you kind of get to where you are. Um, so they came in and I'm like, this is great. All right, what do I do next? So at this point, in the Foot Action side of the store, you kind of really didn't have to switch out the mannequins as often. You didn't really have to change out like the t-shirt walls. Um, the merchandising wasn't big in the Foot Action aspect of it as far as Flight 23. So Flight 23 was the money maker. That was when the Jordans were released and stuff like that. We got every new Jordan as they dropped, and that was mainly because of the Flight 23 side. So I took it upon myself. my manager, I'm like, I'm about to change the mannequins. Cool. I changed out the mannequins. I went and picked out outfits. I'm gonna do this whole outfit. Give me that shoe. Boom. That's it. I'm changing the wind. We really couldn't really change the window display unless kind of told, but they had like the little planograms to tell you, okay, I'm gonna change the window display. I was doing it. I'm like, I like this. When I was younger, I loved Bratz. Brat dolls are my favorite. I love to dress up things. I liked. It was like I always had like a little passion for fashion, as the Brat girls would say. Um, I loved it, and I was like, this is something I can do. This is really something I can thrive at and be good at. I went, looked up fashion merchandising. At first, it was the Art Institute that I was going to go to. They ended up closing down. I'm glad I didn't. Um, and then there was Harper Community College. It's actually not called that. It's just called Harper. But it was a community college in Algonquin, 10, 15 minutes away from Schaumburg. I'm sorry, from Woodfield Mall. And they had a fashion merchandise. Yeah, over talking myself. They had a fashion merchandising department. And I was like, wow, maybe I should apply for that. Again, life happened. Me trying to apply for school didn't work out because of the Purdue situation. And with the Purdue situation, um, it was like it threw off my financial aid and it threw off me not having those transcripts from there. So it was a lot of back and forth, and to the point I was just like, forget it, whatever. I'm not gonna go back to school. I don't even care no more. I ended up leaving Foot Locker as a company. Um, I did help set up more stores, which was also great experiences. I met amazing people that worked for Foot Locker. My best friend still, she worked there. I have lifelong friends from working at Foot Locker. Great, great experience. Um, but I needed more money. At this point, I'm getting a little bit older. I'm like, all right, minimum wage ain't cutting it. I don't care about this shoe discount no more. We have bills. I applied to work at Chase in the call center. I never worked in the call center a day in my life. Um, Living out that way by Schaumburg and stuff, there were more opportunities for jobs and stuff. Applied to work there, and I was like, all right, let's see. I worked there. I was really good at it, thrived in my position, went to another position. While in my second position there, in like our second department, loved it, great people. I was making money. I was just like, there were one of my coworkers, really cool lady. Um, she was just like, yeah, I have my son. I got to put through college. If I didn't have to be here, I wouldn't be. I was like, huh. Another lady sitting next to me, she was an artist. Like she did sculptures. And she was like, I love this and I love doing this, blah, blah, blah. But I got to pay my bills. I got to work here. Everyone in my department was older than me. I was probably like the second, third youngest person in my team. And I'm just like listening to these people that are at this point in their life and they're just not happy. And now they're working because they have to. And I said to myself, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. There's no way I can sit at this desk, no matter how much money I'm making. I can't sit here working and doing this and I'm not happy. I'm not finding anything that makes me content. Um, I said, you know what? Let's try school again. At this point, I believe a year had passed by. Because I started school 2018. So I worked for 2 strong years. A year had passed by since I had kept trying back and forth to get into Harper and I couldn't. Um, I reapplied. I spoke to the financial aid department directly. I was going into the offices, talking to people. They were like, all right, let's see what we can do. Finally, I had to get like some paperwork from one school and another school. They were finally able to clear everything up. I can vividly remember me leaving the campus, getting in my car, screaming and crying because I had just took my picture ID to become a student, and my degree was in fashion merchandising. Um, it was school again though. I was like, this is school. Because I could not work part time at Chase, I had to quit my job. 2018, I had just had a breakup, quit a job, started school, all in one summer of 2018. And I'm like, all right, we got it. I started working like little jobs here and there. I don't know why I didn't go back to Foot Locker. I think a lot of people have left Foot Locker, so I just didn't go back there. Um, I was like, all right, cool. While working, or while going to school, I reached out to Antoinette, is her name. She's working for, work for with Nike. I reached out to her. I said, "Hey, sis, um, I love doing them resets. Like we used to be at Foot Locker. I would go into work at 10 o'clock when the mall closed, and it was only a certain amount of us. So it became to the point where we were kind of like this certain team that got scheduled. One, because we were older enough, we didn't have to go to school the next morning. Um, and we were good at it. Me, Elisa, Kiata, Philip, Adrian. It was all of us. We started doing the Foot Locker resets. Sorry, the Flight 23 resets from 10 p.m. to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. We were in the store, completely stripping everything down, taking out all the old clothes, bringing all the new clothes in. And that I was like, I love that, sis. How can I get to the department, the place where you worked at? How do I get there? I got you. I'm gonna refer you. I became a um, merchandiser, freelance, kind of like freelance, but I worked for a company, but I was a like independent contractor. I went around to different stores like Dick's Sporting Goods and Kohl's. I wasn't working directly for Nike; they didn't have anything open at that point. But they had positions like I was switching out socks and stuff for certain brands, cleaning it up, taking pictures, submitting reports. Um, and I was like, okay, I had to start somewhere. I'm doing that. I'm in school. Um, I ended up working for actually, no, I did that. Something else happened. I can't remember what, but I had to push my classes. Actually, it was a math test, a math class I had to take. I had to push that back. So here I am again in a point of what do I do now? I was supposed to be finished and graduated by 2020. That didn't work out because it was another class I had to take. I didn't graduate to 2021. Lo and behold, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Before we get to the pandemic, while I was in school, there was a brand new Old Navy opening in Hoffman Estates, 15 minutes from my house. I'm going to apply. They hire for every position. I don't want to be a cashier. Let me apply to be a fashion merchandising position because I'm in school for this. They see what I'm trying to become. Let's try. I applied. The manager, we sat outside of across the street from the mall. We sat outside of a Starbucks. She did my interview. I was myself. She loved me. I went into a brand new store again. At this point, this is my fourth store to open total into my entire career. I went in to open that store. Fixtures, clothing, shoes, mannequins. We damn near was putting the lights in the ceiling. Like we did everything, did full blown training. I went in as a lead merchandising manager for the boys and girls departments in Old Navy in this brand new store. Only black manager. Literally, probably one of the 6 black people that worked there. Do you know what that means to be in that? This wasn't a part of my plan. This was not on my schedule. This is not what I expected to do with my life at all, by far. But it was meant for me. That door had opened up, and I didn't even know that when I decided to switch my major from communications to fashion merchandising, that I would be there. I worked at Old Navy. I got my degree. Your girl is educated. I learned, met new people, learned new things. The pandemic happened. That was unexpected. I pushed through and I still graduated on time. I did not have a formal actual graduation because of the pandemic, which I'm still very upset about. But where I am now, in the middle of the pandemic, I started my own business. So I was like, okay, all right, look at me. And it's just, it takes me like, I literally almost teared up saying this story because sometimes I have to remind myself of where I've been and where I am now. Anything you want to do, you can really do. Anything is possible for you. It might not just happen at the time that you want it to happen. Did y'all hear when I say I graduated high school in 2012? I did not graduate college until 2021. I went to 3 different colleges. I worked at 6+ jobs. I worked side jobs in between. I was an assistant for a nail tech in between that. I moved different houses. I went from that 2012 to 2021, 9 years. So much happened in my life. So much growth of me as a person. Because at this, I'm getting older and older as this goes on. So many downfalls, so much sadness, so much grief, so much loss. But I didn't give up because I knew I had to believe in myself. Yes, I had people around me believing in me, but if I didn't believe in myself, I was never going to accomplish anything. I stopped getting in my own way. I moved to the side and I said, you know what? This is our goal. This is what we want. This is what we have to accomplish. And to this day, I'm still doing it. I'm still pushing to become big in the fashion industry, even if it takes a while. It does take time, but I believe in myself. And when it came to my podcast, again, this is something that just happened. One, I don't even listen to podcasts. I have told you guys this a million times. I do not listen to anybody's podcast. I've heard episodes, but I don't listen to podcasts. Um, and that's because one, I'm a big reader, and when books went to like audio book, I just couldn't listen to somebody read to me. So it kind of just like I just stopped listening to podcasts. But then it's also like listen to the radio. I guess the same thing. Thank you guys for listening. Don't stop. Keep doing what you're doing. But I didn't listen to podcasts, and it really just became an outlet for me. And it's funny, one of my friends for a long time, he asked me like, so you're not writing poetry no more? You're not doing your podcast no more? And I was like, no, I just ain't really had time. I'm like, I don't have nothing that drives me. I don't have that passion no more. And he was like, but I thought that was your therapy. Like I thought that helped you. And I said, damn, ain't nobody ever said it to me like that. I was like, now that you say it, maybe I should be doing it. I talked to my therapist. I said, you know what? I've become so accustomed to going to therapy to work my problems out. I stopped doing other things that was actually my therapy. I stopped writing poetry when I was heartbroken or when I was sad or when I was down because I knew I had somebody to talk to about it. Don't get me wrong. Shout out to my therapist. Let it girl. But it's still things that my creative process blossomed because of things I encountered in my life. If I didn't go through things, I would have never had a podcast to write about or to talk about. Me joining church and going to therapy, that was one of my biggest episodes. I never would have had that and had so many connections from that if I had never created this podcast, if I never had anything to talk about, if I never went through things in life. And at 29 and turning 30 in 4 months, I can honestly just sit back in awe and say, damn, I've been through some things, but I'm still here. I am still fighting. I am still alive. I am still well. And I still have so much more to go through. I still have so much more to talk about. So I'm not going to stop doing things that brings me happiness. If things matter to you, you're going to make it happen. And my podcast mattered. Um, I had lost my voice. I got sick. I couldn't talk enough to even open up a recording. Also, I'm a procrastinator. I push a lot of things to the side. If I can wait for it as long as I can, I will. I'm trying to stop that. Well, I'm working on it. Yeah. Um, I I became, I was pushing my podcast away. One of my friends wanted to do a collaboration podcast together. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it. We're going to do like live recordings and everything like that. Shout out to her. We are still going to make an episode happen. But actually, a lot of people have actually reached out to me. I think that gave me fear. I, light bulb moment, I am fearful sometimes of things working out and being great. And that's in certain aspects of my life, not all of them. But in my podcast, I was am afraid of succeeding in what I'm doing. And that might sound crazy to the person listening to it, but it's true. People, my first 2 to 3 podcasts, I had people who I had not talked to in years or I did not even know reaching out to me directly and saying, put me on a feature on your podcast. I want to be on your podcast. I got shit to say. And I'm just like, oh, no, it's okay. Thank you. This is my space. And I'm still like that. I will say 100% there are only 2 to 3 people that I have strongly considered doing a collaboration with them for my podcast, because everybody doesn't see the have good intent for you. There were guys that were reaching out that felt like they just wanted to be on my podcast to debate things that I said. This is not a debate. And also, if it is a debate, I will win. If you know me, you know I love a good argument. Maybe we can go back and forth all day. Um, but I don't want you coming into my space disrupting what I have, because whatever I said it to say it, and it's been said, and we're gonna sign it, seal it, and deliver it. That's it. Granted, I love a good conversation, but I don't want someone to come in and disrupt my peace. And my podcast is my peace. But I do have some friends that have reached out and said we are similar on a lot of different topics. Um, and sometimes I have the opposite of what they're thinking. They have the opposite of what I'm thinking. Is I think we will be great together. I think our platforms can align. Um, some people have said you pushed me to want to go to therapy. You've pushed me to want to go to church. You've made me look at it in a different light, being a young Black woman who goes to therapy and who goes to church. You've made me see things a little bit differently. I've had people tell me they woke up Monday mornings when I would release it and be listening to it while they were working out, listening to it while they went to sleep at night. I'm just talking. I'm not even recording my podcast with the intentions for anyone to be a listener, I guess. Like, I love that people pay attention and people are listening to things that I have to say, but my intention was never that. My intention, this was for me. It was for me to just have clarity and to be able to release things and to just talk to people about things that I feel like there's a lot of people that can relate to things that I go through and that I'm processing, and I was right. So I'm grateful for what I'm doing. And I was afraid that, so many people want to collaborate with me, and I'm like, no, 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 I'm okay. I don't want to do that. That takes me out of my comfort zone. But if I'm not outside of my comfort zone, where the hell I'm gonna go? I can sit here in this space and continue to record in my room with my iPhone and my AirPods and talk to myself when no one's around. Or you see where podcasts can take you now. I can be on a couch with a microphone in front of me, live streaming and having all like I need to stop being in my own way. I have to stop being afraid of what I am capable of doing. The possibilities are endless, especially in the world of social media. There's so much you can accomplish now just by logging onto social media. So I I said all of that to say, stop being afraid. Stop pushing things to the side because you don't think it's going to work out, but also take time with it. And I will say, in regards to the podcast, when I got sick, when my friend reached out and wanted to do a collaboration, I actually did record an episode, full episode, 45 minutes. And I was just talking and rambling. But it didn't, when I finished it, it didn't feel like me. It wasn't a My Thoughts of Podcast with Jay episode that I would want to release. There was a little controversy. If there was a lot going on. I was driving. I love to record when I'm driving too, but it was just so much at one moment. I was just like, okay, I don't like this. I don't even think I kept it. I think I deleted it. I was like, maybe it's just not there for me. Maybe this is just not my time to record. That's fine. Whatever. We're going to be done. I'm not going to do it. And now it's like I was sitting at home. September has been a very, 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 very busy week for me. I mean, month for me. I originally, if you guys follow me on social media, you know that I post my calendars. Like when I erase it, start over. I post that every month. September was supposed to be very simple on weekends. It became every weekend I had something to do. Like, no exaggeration. Literally every Saturday, Sunday, I had plans. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just going and going and going. And now I'm like, oh, okay. Today was the first day I did nothing. I woke up. I went back to sleep. I slept till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I got up, took the dogs out. I ate. I was like, okay, on my cover, all of my clothes were washed from when I was traveling. I was like, let me wash my covers. I turned on a movie, scrolled on social media. I relaxed. I did not walk out my house today besides to take my dogs outside. Even when I thought I was going outside, I'm like, I want a day to do nothing. And that day brought me to, shout out to Jasmine because she sent me an encouraging message earlier. Um, that brought me to recording this podcast. I took time for me. The entire world around me is still moving as fast as it possibly can. And I took time to find my peace in the moment of my house is quiet. The dogs ain't acting crazy right now. I had candles lit throughout all the house. There's complete. The only thing that I can hear at this moment in my house is me talking and my fan going. And I said, you know what? I'm going to record today. At first I was like, nah, I'm just watch TV. I said, I'm going to record today. Because there's so much that I can say. There's so much I can put out there for other people. And I also never know what my story is doing for the next person. And I just want to say, believe in yourself. Even if the time doesn't work, you have to keep going at it again and again and again. If it matters to you. If something does not matter to you, stop trying. That's also a thing that we need to stop doing. Stop trying to either become something that you actually don't want to be. Accept the fact that you've not passed it so many times. I was going to say failed, but accept the fact that it didn't work out so many times, because sometimes that's also a thing. We are quote unquote failing at something numerous times and we're just still fighting so hard to get it until it gets to the point of, okay, maybe this wasn't supposed to happen. I'm a very big believer in timing, and everything happens for a reason. And people who are my family and friends are probably laughing that I say I'm big on timing because I'm late to everything. But that coincides with my everything happens for a reason thing, because I believe if I was rushing to get out at 9 o'clock in the morning, had to be somewhere by 10, I was late, my outfit didn't work out, my hair was ugly, I stubbed my toe, something happened, whatever it was, and I'm late to now this event. I don't get to this event till 10:30. That happened for a reason. That was God saving me or protecting me from anything that was happening between that 9:30 and that 10 o'clock window where I was supposed to be traveling. That's my mindset. It makes me happy. It brings me peace. That is what I go with. Um, and at this point, looking back over my life, every single thing happened for a reason. Purdue didn't work out. I was going to school for communications and journalism. Do I still love to write? Yes. I would love to be a journalist still. That is a way more rigorous world than fashion is. I will say that for sure. But I didn't go to school I didn't graduate with a degree in communication or journalism. I got a degree in fashion. And that happened because of every single thing and stop that I went through in my life. Me moving to Streamwood, if I would have never moved there, I would have never worked at Foot Locker, one, for that long, or at this particular location. I would have never met my best friend. I would have never met the people that work for Nike. I would have never heard about fashion merchandising as a degree. I would have never applied to go to that school. I would have never applied to work at Old Navy. I would have never been in the places that I was in had I not, quote unquote, failed in the beginning. Even if I would have went to Columbia, my entire life would have been different. That's a 4-year college. That 4 years are completely different and laid out, because not, I mean, granted, I could have changed my major from communications to fashion, but to me, at that point in my life, fashion wasn't a moneymaker. Fashion wasn't a degree to pursue. This isn't something I can go do. This isn't anything people, or I don't know at that point in my life anyone in school for fashion merchandising. I didn't even know that was a thing. Now, I do know people who went to school for fashion merchandising. One of my close friends, Megan, she went there for NIU. If I would have been on a different path at my point in life then, I would have went to NIU for fashion merchandising straight out of college, straight out of high school. But I didn't know about it because I wasn't in the right worlds to know. I wasn't rubbing shoulders with the right people to know that this is an opportunity or a possibility for me. This is why timing is everything. This is why sometimes you have to be okay with things not going how you wanted to at that moment. You have to, quote unquote, fail to get to where you need to be. You have to let life be life. Yes, there have been hard times, there's been struggle, there have been upset, there's been losses, but I've gained so much more over the last 9 years. There's been so much growth in me as a person and the things that I'm doing, and I appreciate it. Now, back then, when I was graduating high school, I didn't appreciate it. It was a whole different world. I wasn't who I was. I was younger. I'm like, I'm mad. I'm upset. I lost this job. I lost this. I had that. This relationship didn't work out. Like, da da da. Like, it's so much. And I'm like, okay, I see why this had to happen. And they always tell you, if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. Tell him what you have planned for yourself. Because he's going to be like, well, that's not what the plan was. Yes, you had to go through so many trials and tribulations to get to this point, but that what you wanted, it was always going to be this. Fashion was always your end game. And granted, it doesn't even have to be. Y'all know I got 11 businesses. Like I do a little bit of everything. But my little bit of everything that I do stemmed from the things that I've went through that got me to it. My web designing business, that was created because I wanted a logo for my fashion business. Boom, 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 that happened. Like, there's just so much that happens in life that we're so upset about, that we're so mad that it didn't happen, it was supposed to happen, until you look back and say, damn, I'm glad it happened the way it happened. I don't even know who I would be back then. I don't know what other paths of my life or what alternate reality I would be a part of if I didn't have what I have now, or if I didn't go through and grow through what I went through. And even the peace that I have now creating this episode, being able to talk to you guys, even though you're not listening to me at this very second, but being able to know that someone will hear this and it may encourage another person means the world to me. To know that I'm saying all of this to get it off of my chest, but it's going to touch someone else and make you and help them know this isn't just the end. Keep going. You have more time, and stop looking at time as a construct of we only got so many hours in a day or so much time. It's always going to be like that. That doesn't change. And also, there's a lot of people who grind to get to where they are. I have so many people that I look up to, especially like celebrity wise. Kevin Hart is, and these are people who I've read like books that they've written or biographies or anything about their life, and I've just followed them as a fan and seeing like who they are, what they went through to get to where they are. Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey, Tyler Perry, Beyonce. Even though y'all be like, you know, her daddy, da da da, but when she was a kid, she didn't know this was gonna happen for her. When she was in Destiny's Child, she didn't know this was gonna happen for her. That baby believed in herself. Issa Rae, Tracy Ellis Ross. Like, it's funny that Tracy Ellis Ross literally said in the interview with Kevin Hart that she wasn't getting roles that the casting call was for people like Tracy Ellis Ross, and she would go try out for those roles or audition for those roles and was not getting it. Oh, you need me, but you don't need me. Okay. So there's so many people in this world who are just now accomplishing the things that they want to accomplish. There are people who are just now getting to where they want to be, and age is constricting us because we think that you're supposed to do certain stuff by a certain age. Um, Younger, it was supposed to be women are supposed to have kids and be the woman of the house, and you're supposed to be, the wife and the mom and this and that. Now, there are women who are moguls, who are business women, who are entrepreneurs, who are starting their own things, who are single and happy, who are not mothers, who are traveling the world, who are creating things and doing great things because they let go of what it's supposed to be. There's men who, younger telling them when you're supposed to go be a husband, or you ain't gonna be nothing when you grow up, you're gonna be in jail, you're gonna be dead. There are men who are out here conquering the world. Black men who are billionaires, multi-millionaires, no matter what avenue they're in, we are out here changing the world because we changed the way people viewed us, and we changed the way people talk to us, and we changed the things that people expected of us. We stopped letting people tell us who we were going to be and what we're going to do and how much time we have to do it. We don't need to be anything else in who we are. We need to trust our own timing, our own process, have faith in whatever it is that you have faith in, to know that you're going to make it out on another side. And that's all it is. So, because I'm almost at an hour, dang, y'all see me. I want to thank you guys for listening and for sticking it out with me. Um, I do need to have more structure when it comes to my podcast. And structure, when I say like I need to, get back to recording, releasing, recording, releasing. Um, but I didn't forget about my podcast though, like in this run of me not doing it. On my way home from the Beyonce concert, it was amazing. I am gonna do a life recap for you guys. I just didn't want to start the season off like that, but I will do a life recap because there has been things. But I did see Beyonce Renaissance tour. It was amazing, my girl. Um, on my way home from that, I was inspired, legit inspired by Beyonce. That I created new promo for the show, for the podcast. I created new um what is it? Like a new picture. I can't think of the name of it right now. Like an album cover, a new cover for it. Um I created multiple of them actually, and went through and picked which ones I wanted because I was like, this is new. Now, in February, if I would have started it, it would have been the same picture, the same platform, the same everything. And now I'm like, no, I want something different. Like the picture that was on the cover was from like a New Year's Eve a couple years ago. My hair was red. I was like, you know what? We're doing different things. My hair pink now. Um, I'm different now. I'm becoming a social media influencer. I have all these businesses. I've grown. I've thrived. It's time for something new. Um, so I was preparing for this day. I didn't even know I was. So now when I release this episode, I have new cover art. Um, I have more things to speak about. I have more things that I'm proud of at this moment. I have more things that I've grown through. Yesterday there was a full moon. I have become in love with the moon and the stars. Um, so that's great. So I feel like everything happens for a reason. This was timed out exactly how it was supposed to be. I thank you guys for listening. I thank you guys for paying attention to me and letting me be myself, for listening and for sharing and for resharing and for posting. From the bottom of my heart, you guys have no idea. Even like I always say, even if there's one person listening, I thank you for listening, and I hope I made a difference in your life today. And we back. We back. We back and we better. There's new things coming, new episodes. I am going to pressure myself, not even pressure myself, I'm going to put it down to make it like secondhand nature that this is something that I have to do. And it does take time. You have to become a process. It's just like when I started creating TikToks more and creating more content on social media. I just had to get in the role of doing it and making it more natural, and stop being afraid. I am no longer afraid of my podcast succeeding. I want my podcast to take me anywhere in this world because my podcast might open the door for me in different avenues that I did not know. Um, so yeah, I hope you guys have a great week, as this should be releasing on a Monday. um, Again, I gratitude from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much. And I don't even remember how I used to end the episodes because it's been so long. I probably should have listened to an episode before I end it. Follow me on all social media platforms, underscore picture me perfect underscore Best Life Couture, Jada Brand Stylist, Dana Life with J on TikTok. That's JJAI. Thank you. I feel like I'm giving a closing speech out. All right, guys. Until next time, be blessed, be loved, conquer the world, do things that make you happy, do things that make you smile. Take time for yourself, spend time with your family, think about your well being, be protected, be safe. It's us against everything. We got it. We're going to accomplish it all. Love you. Bye.